Okay, and we are live. So today I have Zoinks joining me on the Elite Encounter podcast. Hey Zoinks, how's it going?
Hey, not too bad. So happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Of course, of course. So as always, what I usually like to do in the beginning is maybe talk a little bit about ourselves and maybe our background, how we ended up where we are now, and when it comes to Pokemon Unite, and in your case, as a content creator, right? And a caster.
Yeah, I've been doing this for, well, since the game started, I guess. So like 4.5 years or whatever it is since Switch release. I first started by just like trying to get into commentary. Me and another commentator named Doobsnacks, who was pretty popular on the main broadcast. We started a YouTube channel called Unite Mics together way back in the day with the whole intention of just casting over tournaments, like whatever we could get, grassroots games, top players ranked matches, whatever it was. Our intention was basically to create a YouTube channel that was essentially a portfolio of just our commentary work. And just so like when tournaments show up, just be like, hey, if you're looking to hire commentators, we do it. And here's an entire channel of examples of our work. And it definitely went in a different direction than we thought it did. However, we ended up at the same point that we really wanted to be, which is working on the official Pokemon broadcast. But the channel morphed in some really cool ways. We got to do some fun projects with it. I've been making a podcast on it for like a few years now. And that's like changed over time too. So it's been a really fun journey, one that we didn't really expect, but it worked. So nice. Yeah, that's been sort of my the really quick way to describe the journey of the last 5 years in Pokemon Unite.
Cool. Yeah, I think, when you start putting stuff out there, you never know what direction it'll go with.
Yeah.
But I think, you just got to start putting something out there. I've worked on a few projects in the past, and some of them did exactly that. They took some unexpected turns, usually in a good way.
Yeah, it's kind of fun when you let just like fate or whatever take the reins, like it's sometimes it's really cool when things don't go according to plan. It can be scary, obviously.
Of course.
It's exciting too.
So did you get the chance to actually do some casting officially for like tournaments and stuff?
Yeah, so I'm a part of the like official team that does the casting for the tournament. So during the season, we'll have like Pokemon Unite's competitive season has like kind of a cycle of during the season online tournaments and then a few in-person tournaments scattered throughout the year at what are called Pokemon's International Championships and then the World Championships. So ever since midway through the first season, I've been a part of the commentary team, and that's persisted. So I've gotten the chance to cast every World Championships Pokemon Unite's ever gotten, and then every International Championships we've also been at. So just tremendously blessed to be able to do that. It has been so much fun. Definitely like a highlight of my life for sure. And so nice. It's been awesome. And then at the time of recording this, I'm about to be heading out to the World Championships in Anaheim, like mid next week. So nice, definitely nice. Something exciting to be looking forward to. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's ideally a kind of scenario that I want to end up in as well.
Yeah.
Because I recognize that if I want to become a pro player, I kind of have a lot of things going against me. And I think maybe you might be in a similar scenario where maybe our advantage might be doing more of like that casting type of stuff, right?
Yeah, I think so. There's been a few memes about my personal gameplay out there. Definitely, I would not say it's pro player caliber or anything like that. I like to think of myself, I'm not like a bad player in Unite. Like I'm consistently getting like masters, like close to sticker or whatever, like each season. But I'm definitely not putting the time and grind in that a lot of these top level players are. And even if I did, I don't know if I'd reach those heights either. But I still have fun with the game. I'll take it as it is, and I think I understand the game well enough to be able to play well. But
I can see that right behind. I can see right behind you. You're doing some analysis on your whiteboard.
Oh yeah, this was my metagame predictions for the World Championships coming up soon. Pokemon does a kind of a preview show before any of the like in-person tournaments. And I was the call-in guest for Pokemon Unite for the World Championship show that happened like last week as time of recording. And I always try to do something fun with my whiteboard. So that was my my metagame predictions. I got Latios, Suicune, Snorlax, and Ho-Oh all doing very well in my predictions.
Yeah, speaking of predictions, I watched your recent episode on your collaboration that you had with a bunch of other casters and stuff.
Mhm.
So I don't want to talk too much about predictions during this podcast because
Sure.
you guys talked a lot about that. But I can see based on your chart there, you're probably going to predict that Latios is going to get banned a bunch, right?
Yes, I think that Pokemon is in the state it's in. I think it's just going to be too strong. I don't think its early game is punishable enough at top level play. Sorry, to really find success. I think its late game is just going to be too ridiculously strong. I think Latios is going to see quite a few bans. I think Ho-Oh is going to see quite a few bans. Suicune's a weird one because the East and the West just have no they just do not agree on Suicune. It's bizarre to me. Like, you look at any stats from Japanese tournaments or Asia Pacific tournaments, and Suicune is at a shockingly low play and ban rate, like extremely, where in the West, like in Europe or North America, it is one of the most banned Pokemon. And if it's not, it's like knocking on the door of an 80% win rate. So
yeah,
it is wild that we are going to be seeing. I can't wait to see these like regions clash because of that. Like, who's right, who's wrong. It's interesting stuff for sure.
Well, you kind of mentioned it in that episode of yours where I think maybe they have different like play styles, or they just approach the game strategy in a different way. Maybe they know something we don't.
Exactly.
But I think they actually use some very interesting strategies that a lot of the West ends up using afterwards as well. Like, if I remember correctly, experience share on Mew or experience share on Mewtwo.
Yeah, I think both those picks are a great call out. Like, there was maybe scatterings of them in the West, potentially, like quiet murmurs. There were rumors about the experience share Mew, but I think, yeah, you're right. It truly started to take over as soon as Japan proved that it can work at top level competitive play.
Definitely. And then I started playing it. Actually, I think I started experimenting with some experience share Mew and Mewtwo, and people were giving me a very hard time in rank. Like, they were getting tilted, but then when pros were playing it, things changed.
Okay, good. That's good to hear. Yeah, it's actually been, I gotta admit, I think this whole last year has been kind of defined by the who can we put the light bulb on. Like, experience share blank has been a really fun part of the metagame this entire year, because it started out with just a few attackers who didn't need a lot of levels, and then it's expanded in a lot of fun ways. I know Darkrai experience share has been a pretty prominent one, and then unfortunately, due to a bug, Galarian Rapidash was banned for NAIC, which was our most recent pretty large tournament. But I've been playing a lot of that Pokemon, and that thing is ridiculous. So I really hope we get to see some EXP share Galarian Rapidash. But either way, it's been really fun to see that creativity of trying to get some of your more traditional tanker supports their levels and scale late game a little bit better. And then the Pokemon that can slot in a powerful position, maybe at that level 12 potentially, or 13 if they can make it still by the end game. It's been kind of fun to watch. It's a fun metagame for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And I personally have been trying some of that experience share Galarian Rapidash, and I don't really play a lot of speedsters, but I think it works pretty well on that Pokemon.
I think it's really strong. Yeah. Plus, it's a move speed item technically, right? Which really helps Galarian Rapidash get to that little passive shield that gets faster. So that's nice.
So I want to come back to your podcast Overdunk, and I just want to talk about that a little bit more before we kind of get more into like the Pokemon Unite heavy kind of discussion. Because I was looking at your YouTube channel, and I guess your oldest video is 4 years old, which is around the same time Unite came out. So you started right after Unite came out, right?
Yes. Yeah. I think we started like fully on the channel probably when it had like full like mobile release was probably around when we started. The Switch release or whatever, I think we started like getting in talks, trying to figure stuff out. But like we fully launched the channel and like got on the ground running right around the mobile release.
So before Unite even came out, were you already kind of dabbling with other content creation or other games? How did it come about that you would actually commit to doing something like this after Unite came out?
Yeah, so as for me, little to no content creation. I had done a little bit of casting, and I mean like the smallest amount. Like I'd done a little bit of Smash Brothers commentary at like my local scene, but like only a few times, like a handful of times there. I tried to do a little bit of Overwatch commentary back in the day. I was a huge Overwatch League fan, which listening to your show before, I think you said you were pretty big fan of Overwatch as well.
A little bit, yeah.
So I had I was super into their competitive scene originally. Like potentially, I'd watched esports for a while, but I think that was like the first game that really made me dive deep into it. But in terms of content creation, people might not know this about Doopsnacks. He used to be on a Dungeons and Dragons podcast way back in the day called You Meet the Tavern, which still exists. They've gone through a couple of iterations at this point, and now we're at a pretty infrequent release schedule, but they do have that show. I was a huge fan of that show, and that's how I kind of met Doopsnacks in the first place. That and his Pokemon trading card game podcast way back in the day.
So he kind of inspired you.
Yeah, a little bit. I was such a fan of that, and then we'd worked together a little bit because I like was a moderator in that community, and then we'd like done some work together, and so that's what kind of spurred us on to start doing this. But in terms of content creation, yeah, non-existent. I think people also would get that vibe looking back at those early YouTube videos, and maybe even recent. I'm not good at making thumbnails. The podcast episodes that go up are edited as minimum as I possibly can. To put them up. So yeah, certainly I would say like a lot of those content creator skills I am trying to develop over time, but I am a bit of a slow learner.
Well, I mean, it does take some time. I've been like creating content in various ways. I guess it kind of started with like photography and videography for me as well.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and I grew my photography. It was like an Instagram page with the goal of like trying to get like photo shoots, to get paid to do it and stuff like that. But you know what I realized after I started getting paid to do photography is that it like changed it. It wasn't the same after that. It was definitely more of like a job type of thing where you had to make sure you deliver on those expectations, you have those responsibilities, and yeah, then you have to deal with other business aspects of the whole thing. Like,
that's true.
You have to sell your services, so you have to act as a salesman. You have to make sure you communicate very specifically with your clients, because I've had situations where they expected one thing and then and then also just dealing with clients as well, because some clients are easy to deal with, let's say, and some of them are not easy to deal with.
yeah, that makes sense. Well, especially in something like photography, which obviously I think any situation where you're paying for an art form is really, I don't know, it's tough it's tough for the artist, it's tough for the customer. Like there's a lot of like, I mean, you got to nitpick sometimes, but also it's like this person's art that they're creating for you and everything. It's a challenge. I think that industry sounds really difficult.
Yeah, I mean, it was. And then I decided to kind of pivot into like a different form of content creation. And I started working on different things here and there. The main thing I ended up doing was like a little YouTube channel. This was before Vine was even a thing, where I would summarize board games in 30 seconds. Yeah.
So cool. That's awesome. I wish I could turn this camera around. I have like a huge board game collection, like right to my left. I'm a big board game fan, but that's so cool. Nice. 30-second board game recaps. I love that.
Yeah, exactly. And each video actually had the voiceover done by someone else. So it was a huge basis on collaboration. And a lot of the work actually came down to reaching out to people who would be willing to do the voiceovers. And unfortunately, I think when it started picking up, I started getting busy with life and I stopped making those videos. Yeah. But I wish I kept on doing it, just because I'm also obviously a huge board game fan. And
favorite board game? It can be like picking a favorite child. It's okay. You don't have to pick one.
How about I'll tell you the one that I played the most. How about that?
Okay. Yes, that's perfect.
There's this game, it's called Tiny Epic Kingdoms.
Yeah, okay.
Have you heard of it?
Tiny Epic Kingdoms fan. I have, yeah.
Nice, yeah. I think it's a really good game, especially with the expansion. But the reason I like it a lot is just because it's small and portable. And that means that I can bring it with me and play it in unexpected places. Like, for example, I've played it like in the park, on a train, at my friend's house, whatever, you know?
That's awesome. Yeah, I love those. Yeah, small mobile games can be great.
Definitely. So yeah, let's go back to, I guess, some Pokemon Unite and some of the podcast stuff. But I wanted to know, so you've been doing this for like 4 years now. What would you say is the most insightful experience in like doing this podcast?
Ooh, that's a great question. Insightful experience. I think it might have been pretty early on. So if you've looked at our podcast, our formats kind of changed a few times, like going through our life cycle, I guess. Whereas now it's a lot more of like a more generic talk show. Like it's me and a couple of co-hosts that are like they're always, like Bridget and Dew Snacks, and then we get like rotating guests. But when the show started, it was just me and then like a group of players, so like usually a team at a time. I would like try to do group interviews and stuff, and I think the most insightful thing was like being able to understand this community a little bit before, I want to say almost like before everyone else, just because like we now have these huge tournaments that have in-person elements and these teams travel from all over the world to play at. But for the first year of competition, that didn't exist.
Yeah.
Like this was an entirely an online community. And I think like the platform I was creating with that podcast was really the only place where teams were like communicating in like a social fashion outside of their own like private discords or whatever, right? Like, so this was like, I think that was maybe the first insightful thing, was I just started to learn these players and learn about them and their interests, what they prioritize, things about the game, like all of those so early on. So I think like, I don't know, really starting to learn the players very quickly was, I think, one of the more insightful things that happened. I know that's not as much of a specific example, but in terms of just like generic, that was like a really cool early moment for me to be like, oh, like I remember being at the first Worlds or whatever, I'm being like, oh, Overlord, yeah, I remember like he used to play like travel hockey or whatever. Like, like just like kind of knowing these little things was a really fun aspect of covering this game for me, because it just made me feel like a lot closer to it and everything. And I was like, well, it's cool that my show is creating that for people who wanting to enjoy the competitive scene in a bit of a different way as well. So yeah,
I mean that's probably something similar to why, I mean, I've gotten a lot of good reception from this podcast. I put this idea out there in the community, and something they express that they want to hear more about is like the story behind the players. Like, you know, you see their username, you see their gameplay, but like players don't know much about them. Like, where did they go up? How did they end up playing this game? What's their strategy to get, you know, good, and all this kind of stuff. There's like obviously a person behind the username, and they have a story.
Exactly. Yeah, it's so cool. And so like now people can see on the podcast, it has kind of changed format a little bit. The only reason we stepped away from doing the team interviews so much, in my opinion, was I think because at the time my like skills, maybe as a host, but potentially more as a writer, just like weren't up to the strength I wanted them to be. I found like a lot of the interviews were becoming kind of similar. Like we were asking basically the same set of questions to each team. It wasn't as dynamic as I wanted it to be. And eventually I just kind of went through most of the teams that I knew that were playing in competition. I think if I did it again now and did a lot more team interviews, I think it would be a lot better quality, from my opinion. But, and so we've done that a little bit, but usually just like a couple of members at a time. We recently got to interview one of the North American teams qualified, named Version 1, who just went on like kind of an underdog story run in the regional tournament to qualify for Worlds. So it's a really fun story. We got them on, kind of got the chance to celebrate that team, and it was wonderful. Like it was like one of our best episodes in recent months. So yeah, I think it's definitely something that I got to try again, but I'm so excited that there's other platforms like your podcast that are now doing this. I always remorse about there's not that many Unite podcasts. I was so excited to see someone else doing a Unite podcast. It's great.
That's actually super awesome, because I've had this idea for a while. I kind of thought about like finding another way of contributing to the community, because becoming a pro player requires a lot of commitment. I have, you know, some disadvantages when it comes to that. I mean, I would consider myself to be pretty good. I do consistently reach 1600 pretty much every season. So I mean, but that's ranked. That's solo queue.
Hey, it's tough out there sometimes. I think getting the 1600 consistently is actually really good. So
maybe I just have high expectations for myself. But yeah,
could be.
Anyway, so I was like, okay, what are my advantages? Like one of the things I do like in real life as a day job is I do like English coaching. And so the idea is to help like people who aren't native English speakers like get confidence in speaking English so that they can work in like English speaking countries, increase their income, etc., etc. So I think I'm good at holding a conversation.
Yeah, you're wonderful at it so far. Yeah, you're doing great.
Yeah, I'm just kind of underplaying myself there. I'm pretty sure
Your
I'm
full-time
good.
job is talking. I think you're doing great. Talking and teaching how to talk. Yeah, you're crushing it.
Pretty much, yeah. But yeah, so I figured like, okay, there's got to be something else out there I can do that can kind of contribute in a unique way. And the thing about like gaming in general, like the gaming community, is that the gamers are they don't tend to, talk a lot. I mean, they might talk a lot in regards to the game, communicate when it comes to, how to win and whatever, coordinating. But when it comes to holding a conversation, that's a whole different thing. And
that's true.
I listen to like a lot of podcasts like Joe Rogan or Lex Friedman or all these other podcasts and stuff like that. And well, something I realized actually growing up in the US, you might have noticed this too, but I'm not sure how it is in Chicago. I grew up in Phoenix, which is all suburbs. And people there just don't know how to hold a conversation.
That's so funny. Okay, yeah, a little bit of shade at Phoenix. I like that.
But to be honest, man, I think anyone that's from the suburbs has this problem. And I think it stems from just like, if you live in the suburbs, you don't have a lot of opportunities to interact with people, to chit chat, to develop those skills. And so you end up spending more time at home, online, and you're practicing a different skill. Like the skills that you practice when you're messaging people is a whole different set of skills. Like you don't communicate like how you would in a text message with voice chat.
I hope not.
Some people do, like they say LOL and stuff like that.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah, that sounds Phoenix suburbs. Yeah.
But maybe you can relate. Did you grow up in the suburbs or did you grow up in more like the city environment?
Well, kind of neither. I mean, when I was growing up, I moved a lot. So I was in a city environment when I was really young, like probably until I was like, I don't know, 5 or 6 years old. So like early years. But after that, I moved a lot to like a lot of really rural communities. So like really small town, those kind of vibes up until high school. And then after high school, I moved to Chicago. So, and then I've been in Chicago basically since then for about like 10 years now or so.
But when you say Chicago, do you mean like walkable area?
Yeah, city proper. Yeah, so like inside the city of Chicago. I've not lived in the suburbs.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. When I first moved here, I found I had an apartment when I first moved here for college, I was in like downtown, like right in the middle of downtown.
Nice.
And then my first apartment, like outside of a dorm, was on kind of like the north side, northwest, and then now I live on the west side.
Nice.
But yeah, I like it a lot. I've been to a lot of parts of the city now. Like for my job, I drive around the city quite a bit. So what
is it that you do, by the way?
For my full-time job I'm a locksmith. So that's my full-time gig.
That's actually pretty interesting. I should probably do that. Now with all this AI technology taking our jobs and whatnot, I think being
find
a
trade for sure.
I think being a locksmith is actually not a bad one because I mean that's probably something you could do anywhere, right? Yeah,
exactly. It's funny because we've been to EUIC for a couple of years now, right? Like going to the events in London, and so my nerdy self, I love walking around and taking pictures of like the weird European locks. I'm like, oh, interesting. Like, and obviously to people who live in that area, it'd be so normal and standard. But I'm just like, oh, that's interesting. That lock operates in a totally different way. I'll grab a photo. But yeah, it's a good job. I remember reading an article a few years back about it's like one of the 5 trades that will likely never go away. So I was like, well, that's good because people will always need doors. So luckily that one will stick around. I think it was like plumbers and electrician were also 2 that will likely never go. And you get paid a lot more for those. So maybe I should have done that, but oh well.
I don't know. Maybe being a locksmith is not as dirty because, plumbing can be quite nasty and dirty, and then electricity work. Maybe that's not as bad. I don't know.
They're both very, I would say mine is a little less labor intensive than both of theirs though, which is nice. So,
and you've been doing that for how long now?
5 years.
5 years.
It'll be 6 in October.
And would you recommend it to, I don't know, to someone like me or to other people?
I think so. Yes, I would always recommend the trade of locksmithing. I would recommend it's just the only like warning I would give is it's you got to find the right place to work at.
Hmm.
The thing with locksmithing is that like you kind of have two routes that people go in. Is like more emergency work, right? Like you get calls, like I'm locked at my house or whatever, and then you have like more commercial work, like we're building a new building. We need to install 20 push exit bars on the exit doors. Like we need to install all those. And a lot of businesses will do both. But I find a lot of those businesses are they just focus on like the emergency work and quick shop, and they do a lot of like upselling and stuff, and that was just never for me. I was like, I don't like this like salesman end of it. I want to help people, but I don't like it's not scamming them, but it kind of feels like it maybe is. So I worked at one of those places for about a year. Wasn't a fan personally for me. The like hustle of selling and stuff for more of my income I wasn't a fan of. But then I work at one that we almost strictly do like commercial work and things like that. So I don't do as many lockouts, but now I don't have to worry. It's just like I just go do my job. I don't have to worry about all that stuff. So I like that.
Those like on-demand locksmiths can be quite profitable because they charge a lot.
Right, which is another thing I felt bad about. Like I'm going to a person's house and it's like they're down on their luck because they forgot their keys in their house and now I have to charge them $1 bajillion.
Oh, you shouldn't feel bad. Like they seriously.
I shouldn't. But see, that's the thing. You just got to know yourself and know what type of work that you're going to be looking for. So.
Well, yeah, I mean, because the actual practice of unlocking whatever it is they need unlocked could be theoretically done by many people, but the fact that you're available is what they're paying for.
Yes, and my expertise and whatever. Yeah.
All that
I've done these mental gymnastics before. I have to see, but yeah, I just for me personally, it wasn't that style. I mean, that lifestyle and work wasn't great. Also, the hours were terrible.
Yeah.
I was working like 6 days a week, 12-hour shifts. That was really bad.
Geez.
So and this place I work at now is like Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, which is perfect. So
yeah, a lot more consistent and reliable.
Yeah, so I'm a bigger fan of that for sure. But yeah, for those of you who love the hustle and trying to get as much money in your individual paycheck for that day, yeah, some of those fly-by-night locksmiths are a pretty good gig. So.
Well, I don't know if I would do it in that way either, because waking up in the middle of the night and trying to do that would be like detrimental to my routine.
Yes, your routine would be shot. I can promise you that. It was tough.
But if I were to do it, I probably would do it more like I would make my own landing page where people can find me, put some ads in local.
I've heard some people have a lot of success with that. I think the only well, at least in my area, the only like barrier to entry is just to get insured. Is just quite a bit of upfront cost. I think you got to be like insured up to like $1 million or whatever. So like insured? To own a business.
Really?
Yeah. So, well, to own a like licensed business, I mean, you could work like a non-licensed one, but I don't know. Yeah. You might get sued or something, right? Like that's like the only like scary thing.
And as a locksmith, maybe that could happen because maybe you unlock a door you're not supposed to unlock.
Oh man, I've had a few stories of that where I'm like, I called to a job. I've walked away from a couple. I'm like, you are clearly not allowed to be going into this place. It's so evidence that like you're an angry ex-boyfriend or something. And I was like, I'm walking. You can call somebody else. I'm walking away. So I've had a couple of those.
I'm sure it's quite interesting, but I think it would be actually. Do you think this could be like doable as a side hustle? Like, do you know what I mean when I say that? Like,
yeah, you could. You definitely could. I mean, especially if you were like willing to do it in the evenings or something. Yeah, that wouldn't be too bad. Like, yeah, I mean, it's interesting. Like, you don't need a lot of tools, like as like your startup, especially if you're just doing like lockout work. But yeah, it wouldn't be too bad. It just depends on your location too, like what you need for like local authority approval, right? Like where I'm at, I have to have something that's called like a perk card, which essentially just means like they run a criminal record check on me and then I'm allowed to have lockpicks on me. It's like the same thing that like a security guard would have to have. Like it's not like firearms or anything, but it's like it's just a simple, hey, you're allowed to have these things that let you get into places.
Makes sense.
So that's nice.
See, I'll add it to my list of potential things to do when AI takes my job.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah. Hey, you could. It's also a job that you can learn pretty quickly from YouTube. which is nice. A lot of trades are, if we're being totally honest. But
it's about willing to do it more than anything, right?
Exactly. Yeah, just actually put in the time to figure it out.
Speaking of AI taking our jobs, how do you feel like the Unite scene is going to change if AI takes everyone's job?
I don't know. I mean, I'm trying to figure out how it would be. I mean, you could probably AI commentate a Pokemon Unite game. So maybe my job's the most at risk in terms of Pokemon Unite. I've played against a lot of bots in Pokemon Unite, though, and they are not great. So I don't think they're taking pro player jobs.
Well, I don't know. I've seen this was like 5 years ago or something before Unite even came out. I saw, forget who it was, developed like a super intelligent AI to play Dota. And
cool. Okay.
It was in a very specific like role with a specific character in a specific lane, but apparently it outperformed anyone else that played that character in that lane.
Whoa. Okay. That's scary.
Yeah.
All right. Well, if they can make a one that makes my Inteleon good, let me know. I will. I'll see what I can do.
Well, here's the thing. I don't think it okay. Let's say theoretically that they do make an AI that can play the game a million times better and all that.
Right.
Maybe people would still want to just watch human players play and compete because they're human.
Yeah, exactly. I think a lot of the appeal of watching any sport or competition is the human element. No matter what, you're always going to enjoy that aspect. And in my opinion, that's what makes Pokemon Unite unique in the Pokemon sphere. Because in any of the Pokemon competitions, they kind of have what they call 4 pillars, but they have the trading card game, the video game, Pokemon Go, and the Pokemon Unite. Pokemon Unite being the unique one in that it's a 5v5 competition. So like cohesion, teamwork, and then like player chemistry is such an important part of not only the gameplay, but also what inspires people to watch. So it's a really cool element of the game and the competitive circuit as a whole.
That's like a big reason why I actually really like this whole genre in general, like the MOBA genre. Because I played a lot of MOBA games, and the reason why I ended up committing to Unite was because I knew that it was like a team-based game, and there's Pokemon, and it's MOBA.
Yeah, checks a lot of boxes. For me, I was pretty similar. I was like, it's Pokemon. I actually wasn't a huge MOBA fan before this game. I've played them. I just wasn't a big fan of them, to be honest with you. But the biggest hurdle for me in any MOBA title was just how stinking long they were. I was like, I can't stand playing a 45-minute or even back in the day like an hour and a half Dota or League game. Like this is crushing me. But I loved how Pokemon Unite was this like 10-minute experience. I was like, this is awesome.
Also, I think what the game did that was really well, apart from the fact that now it's like consistently 10 minutes or less, is that I mean, a lot of these mobile MOBA games have done it too, where you don't have to use a keyboard and a mouse to play it, which I think was like a legacy way of playing these games. Just because like back in the day when these games first appeared, it was a offshoot, like a custom map of another game. And those games, you had to use a keyboard and mouse. But now you don't need that.
Shout out Han. Back in the day.
Oh, geez. I played some Han before I played League.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they take the cake for most toxic MOBA community, by the way. I think Han is truly on another level. The things that I've seen said in those text chats are, I think Han takes the cake personally.
League is up there too, don't worry. I've played quite a lot of League, and back in the day you didn't have like the filters, or you didn't have like it wasn't it was by scary. Default disabled to talk to the enemy team, so you could automatically talk to the enemy team, and you could like mess with their mental just by saying something in the beginning of the match.
The game starts at first item buy while you're typing in text chat. It's a whole different world for sure.
I'm kind of glad in a way that Pokemon doesn't have this kind of all chat function, because what players would do in the game is they would stop actually playing the game and start like typing messages.
And immediately typing.
And I'm like, okay, that's why you're losing. Like, focus on the game, man. Like,
yeah, we have that already when people are just spamming pinging. I'm like, if you just aimed your abilities instead of spamming thanks, we could actually win this team fight. But oh well.
Do you even have that set on one of your 4 things? Do you have thanks on there?
That is the most, I don't. Personally, I don't. But that is, I think, the most toxic thing you could do. That or having like, well, I guess check it out isn't a wheel ping. That's just like a map touch ping. But yeah, I think having thanks is Like that's super villain level stuff. Like
Yep.
you don't have a home, you have a lair. If you that is what
Yeah.
is on your chat wheel.
Honestly, I see that being used more as a toxic way, but sometimes I see it used in a legitimate way. Like if I'm playing defender and I save the Decidueye, he says thanks. I'm like,
Yeah, it changes your whole day. You know, when you get a genuine thanks ping, it's like, wow, I feel like I could walk on clouds right now.
yeah, but I have to like
incredible.
think about it for a second because
Right, you
usually,
doubt it immediately.
yeah, you're like, oh wait, is he trying to say something else? I'm
That's
not
true.
sure.
Yeah.
Personally, I have like, what are your 4 settings for that? Out of curiosity,
Oh my gosh.
because
To
personally,
be totally honest with you, I think they're the default. I don't think I've ever changed my chat. I use my chat wheel next to 0 times. So I think they're just default. I use keep the pressure on a lot. That's what I click.
But that's the
gather here and keep the pressure on. There's like, yeah, the little buttons. They're not even the wheel. Like I just do the tap ones. Yeah. So I don't think I've ever changed my chat wheel.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, for me, for my 4, I have going to top, going to bot, let me level up first, and let's fight together.
Okay, so you a jungler often? Are you
defender?
Defender
or all rounder.
Okay. Nice. We're birds of a feather. I say those are my 2 mains as well. Like I play defender the most, and then all rounders second up.
Yeah, I think in solo queue, all rounders is where I probably have the most success. But when I play in a coordinated team, defender, like it's such a difference of night and day. I was talking to Yashi, who helped organize one of the Discord communities I'm part of, and he told me that all-rounder might be one of the most difficult roles to play, and defender is like the second last most difficult.
Okay. Yeah, I could agree with that. I think all-rounders are interesting because they have, I mean, there's so many of them in game that there are some really skill-intensive ones, and then I think there are some that are rather simple. But yeah, there are some tricky ones. They're bulky enough that you can kind of get away with inting sometimes, but you don't have a defender health pool, so if you get caught out, you're still getting punished pretty hard.
Would you say that role fits your personality, which is why you play it, or did you think about this kind of thing before? I think in defender, like it would fit my personalities. We talked a little bit about Overwatch earlier, and I was a huge tank main. Like I loved tanks. Reinhardt forever. Like I loved playing that character. So when the game first drops, Snorlax was like, I immediately fell in love with that Pokemon. I remember playing the day of Switch release. Me and a few friends, like we were just hanging out in his apartment, and we were like, let's try this game. Like Pokemon MOBA, this is crazy. So we tried it. And I remember playing a few different Pokemon. I was having fun. And then we were playing against an enemy Snorlax. And I saw them. I don't know who this player was. They got the tech early. They heavy slam eject buttoned behind me and then blocked me in towards their team. This is like hours after release. And I was like, okay. I was like, I love this Pokemon. Like I just learned this tech. And I was like, now I am doing all these fun shenanigans. So I was loving that. It was I'm sure it was someone that came from a previous MOBA game that like
they
had a similar situation.
Yeah, it was impressive. I was like, whoa, like you can eject button mid heavy slam? This is crazy. This is crazy technology.
There's a lot of crazy stuff that can happen with eject button, actually.
Yeah, it is. There are some shenanigans for sure. It single-handedly makes some Pokemon like top tier. Like Blaziken comes to mind, for example, how you could like re-aim overheat, like not even just reposition, but you can like flip the aiming direction with it. It's kind of crazy. Same with
Suicune, right?
Yeah. Suicune's another one. Seen some weird text with like things like Sarah Led Unite. You can like get a weird extension of there's a lot of really crazy ones.
Well, my favorite tech actually has nothing to do with eject button. It's actually with Azu, because I played a lot of Azu nonstop.
Okay.
And what a lot of people don't know is that if you use Aqua Tail and you just attack the air, then it actually extends its duration. So
okay.
If you don't attack it, like if you hit the ability and then you don't attack anything, it goes back. It goes on cooldown immediately after you click on it. But if you don't attack anything, then it like times out and you won't be able to use Aqua Tail. Then you just use a normal standard auto attack. But if you attack the air, it essentially extends the duration, and so you can essentially walk up, hit something with your third hit, and immediately have the ability off cooldown and start using it again.
Got it. So you're basically getting one in a 1.3 Aqua Tails.
Even
like
even more, even more. Yeah,
Okay,
even more because if you use it well, then you can really get a lot of value out of it. Like for example, you can even bush check with it
Yep,
because
that makes sense.
normally you wouldn't be able to attack an enemy because you can't target them in the bush.
Right.
But if you just attack air in front of the bush, you might hit them.
Mm-hmm.
And
then you get the extension, the second hit. Yeah, that makes sense.
And then on top of that, if you attack air, then you can have your third hit ready, and then you can use your ultimate on someone and hit them straight with a third hit, which does the most damage, and it just deletes them.
Yeah, that does feel like a good combo. Yeah, Azumarill, yeah, there's some nasty technology with that Pokemon for sure.
I mean, Azu is pretty straightforward to play, and when I was watching pros, like I only saw really one pro play Azu who actually did this, and I was like, yes, you actually know what you're doing. Unfortunately, he didn't get to play many matches with Azu because the other team started banning it, so that was sad.
Oh wow.
So he must have been good enough for them to ban it, and I was like, that's actually a compliment. But
yeah, it's true. Yeah, if a team's banning Azumarill, you know you got the sauce for sure. If the enemy team is target banning that Pokemon.
But you know, I started giving a hard time to other content creators that would play as Azumarill. So if I would watch a video where, I don't know, Spraggles or Chris Heroes or whoever else was playing Azumarill and they weren't attacking air, I would spam the comments and I would like try to enlighten them. And you know, I think I watched a recent video where Chris Heroes played as Azumarill and he was attacking the air a few times and I was like, I see you.
Leveling up the Azumarill.
Yeah, I think it's an underrated thing, but that's how you really know when someone's really good at a specific Pokemon, when they start doing these really interesting techs. Like there was one I saw with the Duraludon where he eject buttoned into a bush and then used his ult, which means that the enemy won't see the ult.
Right. Yeah, they won't get. Yeah, it'll be invis ring. That's pretty scary.
Or another one with a Gardevoir, they use the ultimate in a bush, but you know it's a big radius. But if you use it in the bush, I guess if the center point is in the bush, then it doesn't show up for the enemy.
Yeah, and if you're invisible as well, like then like so the spell wouldn't be seen. Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
Yep.
Scary tech.
But it takes a lot of practice, and honestly, when I started playing Azumarill, I was doing a lot of weird experimentation, different builds on all that, and unfortunately, the thing with Azu is that it's like, this is something that Yashi was telling me. It's just too one-sided. All you do is like do damage. It doesn't have much CC. It doesn't have like other potential to bring other value to the game. Yeah. So I've been trying to get good with other Pokemon, specifically Blaziken, but Blaziken's hard.
Blaziken is hard. I feel like Blaziken's hard, one, because it's a technical Pokemon. Like, you're rewarded for using your abilities efficiently and often, but also your role on the team becomes pretty difficult because you have to, you're one of the best team fighting Pokemon, but you're also one of the best objective securing Pokemon. So you have to like kind of play both sides. Your positioning's also important. It's like Blaziken itself is tough, but also the job of Blaziken is really hard. I think in top level play. I think that's the main challenge of that Pokemon.
Which are your personal favorite picks? I mean, I know you mentioned Inteleon. Is that your favorite?
Yeah.
Or?
No, Inteleon is the one that I got memed on for being so bad. The story behind that is like, we were at the North American International Championships, like me and a bunch of the commentators, we were just like we were like 5 stacking. We were all just hanging out at a restaurant one time, and we ran into the Orange Juicers on ladder, a really top level North American team.
And you got destroyed?
We technically won. We got destroyed, but they surrendered at 5 seconds left, which was so kind of them. But my Inteleon, I think I was 0 KOs, 1 assist. It was so bad. I did so poorly. Flareon's was doing circles around me on his new pick that game. It was not good.
So they were just trolling you.
Yeah, well, they beat us pretty good. So, however, and Spraggles won't let you forget this. Spraggles and Kellosaurus's lane on top side did pretty well. They were having a strong early game. It was unfortunately Dupes, Nax, and I's lane in the bottom side that was struggling the most. But we but despite that, it was Inteleon definitely not one of my favorites. I think a lot of the tanks I love playing, like Snorlax, like I said, is still one of my favorites, but basically any defender in the pool. I love my Mamoswine. Crustle, Goodra, Slowbro, like any of those. But all-rounders, I think, are my favorite to play. Like Garchomp's probably my best Pokemon if I had to pick one. I think I'm a pretty solid Garchomp player. But I do love Blaziken, Urshi, like I mean, almost all the all-rounders I really do enjoy playing. Funny enough, Azumarill actually might be like one of my lowest played all-rounders. I have not touched that Pokemon very often, but
well, it's pretty straightforward. And now
ideas.
You know the secret tech.
That's true. Hit the air.
Yeah, I've been trying to kind of preach this strategy for a while, but I guess only the pros know.
Guess so.
So what's it like actually when you're at one of these competitions and you're at, casting and like, what's the whole experience like? Because I was talking to another player, but he was competing, not a caster. And he was telling me about like, when you take breaks, you go behind the tournament stage and stuff like that. But as a caster, what's that experience like?
So yeah, in terms of like actual tangible space or whatever, we basically like live in that backstage area, especially at the international championships. So for the world championships, the caster like station, like the booth that you're casting from at the world championships, you're like right out in like kind of in the crowd. However, all the international championships, and this is unfortunately in my opinion, you have a backstage booth, which is a bit of a bummer. I'm the type of commentator that like I feed off the crowd energy. So if I'm like hearing cheers and stuff, that's so exciting. Like it just fuels me. So it's a bit of a bummer that we're not out in the crowd for the international championships, but still all right. A lot of that's all backstage. We do have like a green room that all the games share kind of thing. So there's like some couches in there. That's where like the makeup booths are and everything. And then they have like the games, like all four of the games on monitors, so you can watch and follow the tournament and stuff like that. But yeah, at these events, now these days we're getting up to like teams of 6 commentators usually. So we're usually in pairs and then we kind of just rotate through. It used to be we just would have 4 people at these often, and then we would do kind of 2 matches in a row and then take a break at 2 matches in a row. But for us now, we just kind of rotate between. So usually what we do is we commentate a match. And then when you go on, one person gets to go on break and the other person will do like the stage interview. So you'll do usually a post-match interview with the winner. Sometimes we do like pre-match interviews and things like that. However, we've been doing a lot of just post-match stuff these days, and things like that. But at the same time, like you can just go on break, you can hang out in the crowd, you can hang out in the green room, or a lot of the times what we like to do is we have like roaming camera setups. So we'll try to like pull people from the crowd for an interview, like ask them who they're cheering for, what their favorite Pokemon is, things like that, those kind of shenanigans. But yeah, it's just really fun. Like these events are obviously they're competition first, like that is the main focus, but they've been growing so much and competitive Pokemon's been growing so much as a whole that they are becoming like Pokemon conventions, right? Like there are people there not even to compete, they just want to see it, they want to like be a part of the competition and the convention, and so it's just really fun to like go out and explore and experience that as well.
Would you compare maybe to like a festival experience? I'm not sure how often you go to music festivals or anything like that, but is it similar to those?
You could compare it to a festival experience, I think. Like obviously if a festival, if you went outside of the main stages and then there were thousands of tables of people playing a card game, but other than that, like yes, I would say it is similar in the way that there are, if you can kind of go watch wherever you want, they got your side stages, your main stages, that kind of thing.
Do they have any after parties and stuff like that?
Yeah, most communities will have some kind of after party, especially once like the majority of the tournament is done. I know, like, so usually what happens is there's competition Friday and Saturday, and then there's championships Sunday. So Sunday is like just one match for each of the games, which is really cool. But so oftentimes on Saturday night, usually the communities of their respective games will have some kind of after party, whether it's like super planned or it's just like kind of a community consensus, like one or the other. But usually the Unite community will all majority end up in the same space and hanging out for most of the night. And us commentators like to hang out with the players and stuff and the community members and everything. It's a really good time.
That's something that I would be super interested in, because I would love to attend one of these.
We got to get you to EUIC. Come through.
I'll go.
And then you can do your podcast live at the venue. You can get people to do interviews. I think that'd be awesome.
I'll do it. And along that, something I really want to do is like DJ for one of these things, like throw an after party or something like that, like a day party. I don't know,
Right.
because I don't want to ruin the, potential for a team to perform the next day if, they party hard the night before. Or maybe I
That's
do.
why you got to do it on Saturday night when there's only 2 teams would be playing the next day, right? That'd be fun.
Yeah, okay, I guess.
Are you okay? So, do you know Glitch, X City, the Pokemon remix DJ?
Glitch.
X, yeah, check her out on YouTube. She's pretty popular. She's got a lot of Pokemon remixes and stuff, but
Okay.
she does DJ work as well. And I remember, it was a couple of years ago, but she did one of her live DJ sets off venue. Like, it wasn't at the Pokemon venue itself, but it was nearby. And I heard it was just one of the sickest parties. So
Yeah, that's something I would love to try to do. I mean, I'm not like an amazing DJ. I'm quite amateur, but it's something that I've been dabbling in for the last few years. And
cool.
personally, I like, like sunset parties or something like that. And
That'd be
personally,
fun.
I don't like to do those super intense, like hardcore, really super late parties. I mean, I'm into that too, but occasionally. And I think doing something like that would be a really interesting way to, connect with the community and have some fun and have like an interesting dynamic with them. Because the thing about these tournaments is that it's not just about the tournament itself. It's also about what's happening before the tournament and then after.
Yeah, I completely agree. A lot of teams have started to do some fun things with that. Like, for example, at LAIC this last year, when we got invited, like a few of us commentators, to go to an event that DreamMax Esports was running. They were playing some scrims against Nouns Esports, an EU team that day. They were just scrimming them, but they kind of did it at this like esports bar, like this special venue in Brazil. And then they like invited the teams, and then they invited us to like commentate the games and everything from the space. It was really fun. It was like almost like a show match kind of thing. But yeah, just, I don't know, a lot of those unique experiences like that are starting to pop up. People are starting to be a little more creative around it. Like, how can we throw like fun parties and things like that, or make like content out of these events? And it's starting to become really, really cool. It's competition, it's collaboration, it's everything.
Yeah, exactly. I like to make like mixes of music, because when I do stream and when I do play, when I stream on Twitch, I don't stream with my microphone on, just because it's makes it complicated, like technical limitations. I play on my phone and then I blah blah blah. But also, like it kind of detracts from me being able to play, because I would have to speak to the audience, not to my team. Anyway, in the background, what I end up having instead is just, the gameplay audio and then the mixes that I make. And, I think it kind of gets me in the zone. So
yeah, totally.
Maybe that can also like help people get in the zone when it comes to these tournaments. They can like kind of get into the flow when they play. When do you play? I mean, when you play, do you also listen to music, or do you just listen to the game?
I usually listen. Oh no, I've muted the game music years ago. No, I think, which is funny because I actually do think Unite has some bangers in it. Like, low key, the Shiver City, the like winter quick mode map, that is one of my favorite songs in the entire game. It's so good.
I don't even know what that sounds like. I turned it off so long ago that
I know, and no one plays that map. But Shiver City, so fantastic, great song if people want to look it up. But for the most part, no, I end up listening to music quite a bit while playing, especially if it's just me. Sometimes I listen to podcasts while playing.
Really?
I'll just like throw in a podcast or have it up on the TV, like have YouTube up on the TV or something like that while I'm playing. Will be pretty often, but yeah, almost always listening to something while playing.
Yeah, me too. I definitely always have some sort of music mix. If it's not my mix that I made, it's some other mix, something that doesn't have lyrics specifically, because that kind of, for me at least, distracts me from the game.
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense.
But going back to like the commentating experience, what's the dynamic like when you're actually commentating on a game? Because isn't it hard to know when, like, if you're doing commentating in pairs, isn't it hard to know when you should be speaking or when the other guy should be speaking, and then you're like, something happens and you're both trying to talk and you're like, what's going on?
That can happen for sure. Honestly, being in person is easier. When you're online, it like there's no like physicality cues that you can pick up from the other person. On like in person, it's kind of nice. Like I can tell. Like I cast a lot with Evan Hashimoto or Wonder Chef, and I can like look over and I can see Chef is like he's like excited. He wants to talk about something, which is like an easy cue for me to be like, okay, end your sentence, Josh. Like, you're talking way too much. Like, let's finish this up. Like, let Evan talk. But it's also just like, it's just practice with the other person talking a lot. And like, you kind of learn each other flow. And then naturally, what it comes back to a lot of times is in commentary, you kind of have, there's two traditional roles, if you will. There's a play-by-play caster and there is a color caster. Play-by-play, you're covering the action when like big moments are happening. It's your job to. This is actually advice that I learned from one of my favorite Overwatch commentators, and I know Dupe Snacks really likes him too, but the job of a play-by-play caster is not to say everything that's happening. It's to draw. You're telling the viewers where to look while the action is happening. So you're trying to draw their eyes to the very specific things that you think are the most relevant that are happening during play-by-play. I think a lot of play-by-play casters will just kind of read the kill feed, if you will. They'll be like, ooh, this knockout, then this knockout, now this knockout, which is like the viewers already know that, right? Like, yeah, they're experiencing that while watching it. Like, your job is to go like elevate that a little bit. And then color casters, your job is all about the past and the future. So you're talking about what after something happened, what set that up, what was the most important aspect of that play, and then what are the ramifications now? Like, okay, now they're behind. How do you come back? Like, what are the options for this team? Now that this team's playing from advantage, what are they going to prioritize now that like they have this, that kind of thing? Are there any relevant Pokemon due to this context that are going to be exceed or be detrimental, right? Like, okay, Leafeon's 2 levels behind. This is an early game Pokemon. You never want to be in that situation as a Leafeon, like that kind of thing. So if you have those two roles as a duo, then the moments to speak kind of show themselves naturally, right? Like Unite's kind of a nice game in that way where it's not scripted, but a lot of games follow the same pattern. Right? Like, at 2 minutes, they're going to be posturing for the big team fight. Yeah. And around a minute 30, there's going to be a huge team fight to pop off. So oftentimes what you want to do if you're the play-by-play caster is when 2 minutes hit, you don't want to be talking. You want your color caster. That's their chance because you're going to be talking a lot once the Ray fight starts popping off and everything. So when that 2 minute mark happens, the color commentator can be setting up. Where are they positioning? Who's looking for a flank? What bush do they like that kind of stuff? Isn't
it nerve-wracking? Like you have to be like very aware to so many details that's happening so fast. And
it is, I think at a certain point, like, I mean, one, you just need to accept the fact that you're going to get some things wrong and you're going to miss things like that at some point. You just have to accept that it's impossible to capture everything. It's very interesting. Like when I practice commentary and stuff, I'll VOD review like competitive matches. I do that quite a bit, especially in preparation for tournaments. And it's so funny, like VOD reviewing a Pokemon Unite match, it could take me an hour to do one game if I really wanted to, because there's so many little things that happen. I remember Toonslim was in my chat while I was VOD reviewing a match one time. He's like an incredible EU player. I think one of the best players to ever touch the game. But he said something that I thought was so interesting. And he's like, any team looks bad when you're VOD reviewing like this. Like when you're fine-tooth combing, like, because like in the context that they make these decisions, when you have the full picture, you can pick apart things no matter what. But like sometimes the decision they made in that situation would have been great if they had the information that the bottom path was having, if there was some communication or whatever. It's so like even the best of the best, like Fennel, our former world champs, like at the world championships, they look like some of those clean Pokemon Unite you've ever seen. I guarantee you'd find mistakes. Like when VOD reviewing like that, right? Which is kind of interesting, but it's kind of the same for commentary. It's like, you gotta go. And so yes, to answer your question, it is nerve wracking. But one, I've been doing it for long enough that it just, at this point, it just feels fun. And I feel like once I hit my flow, it's, that's great. But there are still matches that the nerves get me and I'm upset with my performance in some situations, but, for the most part.
Do you go back and VOD review your VOD reviews?
I do. Well, not my VOD reviews. I will go back and VOD review my own commentary from time to time, which is, oof, that's the hardest part of the job. It's uncomfortable, for sure. Isn't it? It's so uncomfortable. It's like pulling teeth, like trying to go back and watch. I don't do it as much as I probably should. But I certainly do, especially if I'm working with a new person. Like I said, I've worked with Wonder Chef quite a bit. So oftentimes when I commentate with him, I won't do those. But if I'm paired with somebody new, I'll go back and VOD review and be like, okay, how did I support them well here? Were my handoffs bad in this situation? Was I listening to them in this thing? And yeah. That's my piece of advice, by the way, for anybody who wants to do commentary. The biggest piece of advice I give every single person who asks me and says they're interested in it, it's just listen to your co-caster. Please, like, it is so easy to spot a commentator who's only thinking about what they want to say next and is not listening to the other person. Like, conversational commentary is 1,000 times better than two people just talking about what they want to talk about, and then like, it just sounds unnatural. So like always, it's at least respond to what the other person said.
Acknowledge them, like, really important. I agree, and stuff.
Yeah,
like that.
exactly. Or like, oh, interesting point. Yeah, that actually, like, blah blah blah. Like whatever it takes. But just listen to the other person, what they have to say.
So what would you say it takes to be a caster? I was talking earlier about how a lot of people struggle with knowing how to just have a conversation, at least the Americans who grew up in the suburbs, at least.
Sure.
But would you say that's important to be a caster, knowing how to like converse?
Yeah, I do think it is. I mean, being a caster, it's tough. Like, there's a lot of prerequisites, I think. Like, one, yeah, you got to be a good conversationalist. I think you have to know how to talk well into a microphone. Like, you know, like the cadence, the voice, like that kind of thing. That's another aspect that would really, really help. You got to know the game really well. In a game like Pokemon Unite, I think it is pretty easy to spot people who don't know the game really well, right? It's at the end of the day, it's a strategy game, right? I think all the Pokemon titles kind of lean themselves to this. Strategy games, I think you face the harshest critics who watch the title, because people who love strategy games, they know the strategy of the game. So that's another thing. And then, another, this is a little more like tangible, like, thing, I guess, if people are looking to try to, like, what it takes to be a commentator. One, you have to get noticed in the first place, and literally the only way that you can do that in like this day and age is you have to make content in some way, like of your commentary, like even just posting clips of your commentary, if like you're doing grassroots, or if you're just like casting your friends' ranked matches or whatever it is, like you have to post that somewhere. Like, just live streaming it or something is great, and there's a chance the right person watches it at the right time, but like in reality, you need to have some kind of thing to point to. Like, this is my work.
Like a portfolio, like what you did.
Exactly. Like, for example, I think two commentators who are absolutely crushing it and really climbing the scene fast, and they've gotten the chance to cast some of the official tournaments recently. They haven't done any in person, but I think it's a matter of time. It is Steel Edge and Kyle and Husky Star. Like, they're two commentators from North America, and they are both like content grinding recently. Like, they have like a tournament series that they took over. I basically left the keys to them. I was commentating that series for a while, but unfortunately the nights just didn't work out for me any longer. So they took over, and they're doing a great job commentating that and hosting that and running that series. And then they're posting their own YouTube content as well now and stuff. So like, they're doing whatever they can. And I think, like, forget what the quote's from, but it's just like, you got to make yourself, like, you can't ignore them. You know what I mean? And they're doing a great job.
I think maybe the quote you're looking for is so good they can't ignore you.
Exactly. Like, that's the perfect way to describe it. And I think they're, I think those are two examples of two people that are doing exactly that. And I think they're going to start being rewarded for it very soon. So I think it's awesome.
So you're saying that to practice being a commentator, you should start doing VOD reviews, commentating those.
Well, yes, and it just kind of depends on what style you want, right? Like, if you really want to be that analytical, kind of brainy color commentator or whatever, VOD reviewing top level matches, understanding what they do is so good. One of my favorite things to do, because I would say that's my role, I like doing color commentary quite a bit. What I found one of the best things to do is I just watched pro players stream. I lived in top level player streams all the time, especially when they're 5 stacking. Like, that information was invaluable, just to hear what they're communicating to each other at any given moment. I'm like, oh, okay, so that's what's important to focus on. Okay, like, but that's what they're prioritizing.
That's not something you hear in a tournament. You don't hear the comms.
Yeah, teams, not in a tournament. You got to find like live streams of these teams doing that, and that's that can be challenging. But
that's part of the secret sauce for these teams, because it's like hidden information that nobody really sees. Whereas, if they're playing online, if they're streaming, most of the times they're also streaming the communication that they have from their team.
True.
But in a tournament setting, that's the one thing that's not really revealed to the public.
Yeah, there's been a couple of times where on the broadcast we've tried to do a what are called listen-ins. They've become pretty popular in esports recently, where basically you take the mics from what the players were saying and you put them in a clip. And fortunately at EUIC, I don't know exactly how it happened, but a swear word went live on the official Pokemon stream, and it's like, obviously that's a huge no-no, which is a bummer because I think it's really interesting content. The players are told they're not allowed to swear on main stage. I mean, sometimes
come on.
sometimes
Everyone's an adult, right?
Well, not in Pokemon.
Actually, no.
But it's which like I get it, like it's the brand or whatever. It's a bummer. But I mean, asking players to do that, it's asking a fish not to swim sometimes. So
seriously,
yeah, I think like it's tough, but I wish we could do more of that content. But it's tough to find clips we can use, to say the least.
Yeah, that's the thing I'm super interested in. Like, I watch these tournament gameplays, I watch the games, and we can see how they play, but that's only like the result of maybe what they were talking about 5 to 10 seconds beforehand, and the decisions they made ultimately were because of the communication that happened before with their whole team. And that's what I want to know, because like we can watch their gameplay all day long, but if we don't know what they are saying to each other, then we're missing out on something huge. And when it comes to Unite, and similar to like Overwatch, you got to communicate with your team. You got to communicate your intentions, like if you're a defender, when you're going to initiate, or you got to communicate when the enemy team use their ultimate, or when they use their, I don't know, eject button.
Yeah, eject,
because if they use those items, they're going to be on cooldown for a long time, and you know when it's safe to engage and stuff like that. But we don't see that, and you know, I'm not sure.
We need Phil Umis to come back and start streaming again. He used to stream their entire entire tournament run on every single one. He'd go live. So
what happened to him, by the way? I watched a few of his videos.
Yeah, I mean, I think he got banned from Unite. I don't even know if he knows what for on the most recent one.
He got banned.
Yeah, it happens. But I think I think recently he's been doing a lot of Honor of Kings stuff. I think recently he went to the Esports World Cup for Honor of Kings. Which
cool. Really?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Yeah, he'll be back in Pokemon Unite eventually, I think. But
you think so?
I think so. I think he's just got to surf the ban, and then he'll be back.
I don't know. He's been known to be a bit toxic, but I've seen people come and go when it comes to Pokemon Unite content creation, and I think it can be hard to be consistent because it has its ups and downs. Like in the last year, it hasn't really grown much.
His last year was a down for sure.
Yeah.
It was tough. It was tough for us as commentators too, right? Like it's we've said for a long time, and I personally agree with this, is that I think the competitive Unite community is the best part of Pokemon Unite, personally. I think it's also the most successful part of Pokemon Unite, because let's face it, this last year, the like general game has not done super well. Like it's been tough. There weren't many resources, releases were slow. It was bad. However, I think there's light at the end of the tunnel. Maybe I'm being too optimistic, but some of these like recent developer letters, these map changes, this commitment to more Pokemon releases, I don't know, it sounds like they're pretty heavily investing in our game again. Like, so I'm excited about that. Like I want the game to do better and have an uptick, and I think there's a chance it can. So
I hope so. And I think it has a pretty good chance, especially when compared to other MOBAs, because of that IP. Like with Pokemon, they're not going to want it to die. And if it does, maybe they'll never bring it back, you know? So
right.
But I have hope as well. Maybe I'm also being optimistic, but I think it correlated a lot with like the Chinese release, because up until that version was released, you could see like there was a huge slowdown in the amount of Pokemon they released, and essentially the amount of resources they committed to the game. So now that it's out and it's kind of plateauing when it comes to that, maybe they're gonna recommit more to this, you know, global version, which is really good, because to be honest, man, this last year has been so slow. Like the same map for how many years now?
Like 3, I think, right? That was crazy, because that was like at Worlds Year 1 in London. We were all so excited because we got to debut that trailer. It was so fun. Like we're like, oh my gosh, a new map. So hopefully, I hope that this year at Worlds, and I'm saying this, I legitimately don't know. Like I'm not like lying on this thing or anything. I have no idea what they're going to show for the World like Unite announcement at the World Championships. There's always an announcement for each of the games, but I really hope that they get to show the Groudon map. I think that would be so fun. Like I think it's still Thea Sky Ruins or whatever, but I hope like they get to show Groudon showing up, and maybe there's more map changes that we don't know about. Like I think I think that'd be really sick. So I hope it happens.
Yeah, I'm actually excited for it just because it's like it's time for a change. I mean,
Yeah.
the thing
How
I
do you
like.
feel about the buff? The Groudon buff that it gives now?
Oh, so now it's like the shield transfers, right?
Well, yes, and we don't even know if it's a shield though. Like that's like the thing. It's just it's
Oh.
an attack buff and score speed buff, but like in the description they gave in the letter, they didn't even mention shield. However, because like if you think about the buff changing, if you were to knock out a Pokemon, you'd have to get through the shield in the first place. Does the Pokemon who knocked out the other Pokemon get a full shield all of a sudden? Like that feels pretty crazy. Like if they gain the buff, I don't know. I think it might just be a buff, and like there is a shield that you get when you knock it out, but I don't know. We'll see.
It could be anything because back when it was Zapdos, there was I don't think there was a shield. You just instantly score,
no
right?
shield. Well, all the bases got like rotomed or whatever.
Yeah.
And then the other part about Zapdos that people don't talk about as much is that when you knock out Zapdos, the enemy team basically got like Mewtwo united, and it was a stun because wherever you were, it targeted, and that was like. Because it was so hard to win a team fight. All of a sudden, you lost the Zapdos, and all of a sudden, you're all stunned for half a second, and they have like this buff. It's like, oh crap! And then they just blow you up.
Yep,
so,
yep.
well,
like in the Chinese version, what they did is that Groudon and Kyogre, they spawn on your team and they walk towards the enemy base, and then they have to disable the base for you to score. I don't think they're gonna do that.
Zapdos, I think.
I don't think they're gonna do that.
I don't think so either. I don't think it like fits our like play style of the game with like this 10-minute cap. I think in their style of the game where the goal is to eventually break the Nexus or whatever, if you will, it makes more sense. But yeah, ours it doesn't make as much sense.
I think honestly it's good because the thing with Unite, especially compared to other MOBAs, is that it has a lot of like comeback mechanics.
Yep.
Like something that a lot of people probably like about MOBA games is that you can snowball quite easily, and that's probably what something that people like. But in Unite, like the comeback mechanics are crazy. Like the amount of experience you get from knocking out a high level enemy is like just yesterday I was playing and I was Charmander. I knocked out one person. I evolved to Charmeleon. Instantly I evolved to Charmander. I knocked out another enemy, and then instantly I knocked out another one, and I got my ultimate. I'm like, oh wow, I went from level 4 to level 8. Like what the heck?
Yeah, it'll happen
in less than 10 seconds. But it's not just the enemy; it's also the map itself. Because when one part of like the first gold zone gets knocked out, you have access to more experience, and in Unite, like experience is like pretty much the currency.
It's exactly. Yeah, you don't have any creep score or nothing like that. Just EXP's crazy. I do think the other part about that is that I don't know if I've ever played a MOBA like Unite in which a level difference is so impactful. Like I think a 2-level difference in Unite is so much bigger of a deal than like a 2-level difference in League. For example, like it is so impactful for that experience. And again, it could be because there's no item builds in the game, right? Like or no like buying items throughout the game. So,
but it's not very obvious because the little number that shows their level is like quite small, and
right, and then you just get blown up. And you're like, oh, okay, cool.
Oh, he was 2 levels higher than me. Okay, that's why. I wish it was more obvious. Like I don't know, maybe the number would get bigger if they're on a higher level. Because when you're about to engage on a team fight, and if I see the enemy is 2 levels higher, I would have second thoughts about engaging. But it kind of aligns with League of Legends, for example, because in League of Legends, a lot of the potential and power you have comes from just the items that the enemy has.
True.
And that's not very obvious either. You have to go into the menu to see what items they have once you kind of see them. But I don't know. I think it's still like the thing about Unite is that because there's not only is the map smaller, and because like the comeback mechanics are stronger, like I think what this lends to is like having more focus on like actual gameplay, like outplaying your opponents and playing as a team. Because in games like League of Legends or those other mobile games, the maps are just so much bigger, and there's so much more time spent just like walking around the map, essentially. That's something that I really like about Unite. And then like characters like Hoopa can let you just teleport your whole team.
Yeah, very fun. Very strong, but yeah, very fun.
Yeah, exactly. So what do you think is going to be what are you looking forward to most when it comes to, I guess, Worlds and casting this year?
Gosh, I mean, I just love, like we mentioned earlier on this show, I love the regional clashes. So I'm so excited. There's been a lot of talk about how the West is so weak and Asia is so strong. I'm hoping that gets turned on its head a little bit. I'm not exactly predicting it, but I hope some of these North American teams have a good run. I think some of these European teams are really strong this year. So excited about that. But
Well, I'm
so I
hoping
think
these
that's really what
European
I'm most
teams will
excited
win
for.
because, I mean, I grew up in US, but now I'm living in Europe, and so I kind of want them to win.
Of course, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, they're I think they're great. I think this year, I think it's this year, and Yokohama is like kind of the contest for the three strongest European teams being sent to Worlds. That year was really good though because they had Tally Bobo in Yokohama, which I think was like a favorite to win that year. At the World Championships, but this team, I think this announced team, this Gen 5 team, this Komai team, I think they're all really good. So that's what I'm most excited for. But just in general, I just love like hanging out with everybody, seeing the competition, and truly Worlds is like on another level, like in terms of the production. There's like the final ceremony, and this year, this might take the cake actually. Unite is going to be on Championship Sunday for the first Worlds ever. We've been for all the international championships. We've been on Sunday, and it's also going to be in an arena this year for Championship Sunday. So the first ever time Unite is going to be played in an arena. I think it's going to be so sick.
So that essentially means that more people can watch it live.
Well, that's the hope, right? It's also they always put us right in the morning for some reason. So Unite will be there 9 a.m. on a Friday. So I'm really hoping people show up to watch. I'm going to be campaigning hard for that in Anaheim. I'm going to be telling everybody to show up that morning. But it also is like pretty good time zone for people, like 9 a.m. West Coast, California. It's pretty late for EU, but it's not like, you know, later in the evening West Coast, which would be terrible for EU. So the EU viewership time's pretty okay. Japan, it's like pretty okay. And then for the I think for the US, it's not bad either. So hopefully like viewership online's pretty solid as well.
Yeah,
the Twitch drops are fine. They're not horrible this time around. So maybe that'll be better. Who knows?
Okay. That's an improvement. I honestly, yeah. I think the thing with these tournaments is that a lot of these players, they practice like super late at night, I noticed.
Yeah, it's true.
So it's going to mess with their routine. Like, how are they going to perform at 9 a.m. when they're used to playing at 2 a.m. and stuff like that?
That's a good point. I actually think if, you know, some of these teams are boot camping, you know, I know Gen 5 went out to Japan to boot camp for this event. I think a few teams went very early to Anaheim or to the LA area. They should do their scrims at 9 a.m. That's a good call. Yeah. You should get in the habit of scrimming in the morning. It's a good idea.
Because I don't know about you, but like I've noticed that certain times of the day when I'm trying to win matches, like I perform so much better at specific times compared to others. And the thing is, like I've been playing in houses with some of these teams in Europe, and man, like they play like super late, and I just do, and I just can't perform at that time. I don't get it. Why do they always do that? You know, even on the weekends. Like, come on, guys. Like during the day, let's do some matches. But maybe I should tell them, hey, if you want to perform at the tournament, you got to get used to playing at 9 a.m.
That's true. I mean, some of your group stages are going to be at 9 a.m. Get ready.
Yeah, like some of these players I've been talking to, they have like some routines and some habits of what they have to do before they perform or they compete. And like Yashi, for example, was telling me that he likes to do some exercise. He likes to go swimming. And
oh, nice. Yeah,
I think that's huge. Actually, a lot of people underestimate something so simple as doing some exercise, because I've like been very like I've been paying very close attention to how I perform when I play, depending on what I do before or after or what time and this kind of stuff. And definitely, like if I do some like intense exercise, but not so intense where I don't have energy, but intense enough that like I have fresh oxygen in my brain, man, I perform on another level. It's like, yeah, it's a difference of night and day. Have you tried doing that? Do you exercise before playing?
Yeah, I mean, or even commentating. It's a really good idea. Like I know having like both mental and physical health at the forefront is a very, very wise decision. I mean, for somebody like me doing commentary, like I have to talk and ramble on for a lot of it, so breathing and oxygen is a really good call. So I think morning exercise not a bad idea. In terms of playing, I gotta admit I have not exercised before playing. That I've crashed on the couch and thrown on a few games, so I should fix that. Maybe then I'll hit my Intellion snipe shots. We'll see.
Do you think if you took it more seriously you would actually play better? Would you get to 1600?
Yeah, yeah. If I did exercise beforehand, maybe, yeah. But I do think like there are times where I'll lock in pretty hard while playing, and I do a pretty good job. So
Okay, okay. Yeah, that's something I noticed when I started playing a lot of competitive games is like people underestimate actually like the before like the what I would call like the startup cost or the teardown cost. Like I studied supply chain in college, and one of the costs
okay,
that you had to take into account is like what it takes to turn on a supply chain or to turn it off. And the same is with the human body, like what it takes to like enable and turn on the brain, because you're not like instantly going to be able to lock in if you're like groggy and you just woke up or something like that. I don't know about you, but I need my coffee. I need to go for a walk. I need to do my morning routine. And then I can lock in like super easy.
Exactly. Yeah, it's important. Routine is. We are. I think a lot of us are creatures of habit, and I am very guilty of that too. So.
Yeah, and I think actually this is something I saw from like a video that I watched from Chris Heroes. Is he said he doesn't compete because it's like he is very comfortable with his current setup, and if you're at a tournament, the environment is very different. You put yourself out of this comfort zone, and it probably affects your performance in a huge way.
I think, totally agree.
So I think being able to adapt, I think, is a huge one. And a lot of these gamers, they get into this comfortable routine of how they play and that sort of thing. So some of them play it because it helps them relax. Some of them play it because they need that competitive grind. But I think if you practice getting out of that comfort zone, it also helps because then you learn to be able to lock in regardless of the situation. So
yeah, that's huge.
Like, I think really, if you want to be super good at the game, you also have to be able to lock in when the circumstances are not ideal. Like to be able to perform when you're tired, or perform when you're hungry, or perform when you're thirsty, perform when, I don't know, it's 9 a.m.
Exactly. Yeah, that's so important. I think it's so, and if you can train for that, that's amazing. Yeah, you can prepare for something like that. It's great.
Cool. Well, I think this was a super interesting conversation, and I hope that, I'll continue making these podcasts, and if you recommend anyone to be a guest, maybe Doop Snacks. Yeah, it sounds like you have a good connection with him. If you reach out and let him know,
yeah,
hit him up for me. But hopefully in the future, I'll see you guys at like one of these tournaments, and maybe I'll have like an after party where I'll DJ and we can have a good time.
Heck yeah, that sounds awesome. That sounds seriously so much fun. But yeah, thank you for having me on the podcast. This was an absolute blast. And like I said, I think in your YouTube comments, I'm just so excited. There's more Unite podcasts. This is great. I'm really excited to check out the future episodes.
Of course. And if you want me to be a guest on your podcast, I'm not sure what you have planned, but
we should get that done.
I'm always open to collaboration, so just let me know.
Cool.
All right, man. Well, it was nice having you, Zoinks, and we'll keep in touch, and who knows, maybe we'll play some games together.
Yeah, that's true. I'll watch out for your Azu.
Well, I don't know if I'll be playing Azu, but we'll see. I have to like kind of stop playing Azu just because I need to get good with other Pokemon. Like,
yeah, that is true.
Cool, man. Well, it was a pleasure, and hope you have a great Sunday.
All right. Thank you very much.
All right. See you later, man.
Bye.